We have a really exciting program for you today. I think I am obliged to tell you exits. This way, this way. This one, I think, is an emergency exit, so exits. Now you know where they are, in case you weren't here yesterday. I just want to go quickly through the program, what you're going to hear this morning. We're going to start with some research insights discussions. We're going to hear from 3 flagship projects at Nordregio. First is the NORDGREEN project, which is a Nordforsk-funded project. Then we're going to hear from a Nordic thematic working group project on green and inclusive urban development, and the MUST project, measuring urban sustainability in transition. Following a coffee break, we're going to have a Nordic tour, and we're going to hear inspiring stories from people and places throughout the Nordic region that are working and creating and implementing solutions to help us achieve green and inclusive sustainable urban development. And then, following lunch, we have a series of excursions. I believe, like was pointed out yesterday, on the back of your name card, you will see the excursion that you have registered for, and I'll pass on a little bit of information about the meeting places for those excursions later. So, let's get going. I want to start by welcoming 3 former colleagues of mine to the stage, and they are going to introduce us to the NORDGREEN project, Planning for Healthy and Green Nordic Cities. So, NORDGREEN is a 4-year project. It will conclude, come on out, ladies. It will conclude at the end of 2023. This project is taking an integrated and transdisciplinary approach to public space and greening public space in Nordic cities. So it wants to learn and improve from an evidence-based planning, from a governance, from a management perspective, to deliver public green space that is health-promoting in our cities and accessible for all of its users. So certainly touching on some themes we talked about yesterday here at the Nordregio Forum. So first is Luciane Aguiar Borges. She's a senior researcher from Nordregio and project coordinator of NORDGREEN. She'll provide a brief introduction to the exciting work taking place in the project. Then we will hear from 2 of our city partners in the NORDGREEN project. First, we have Johanna Palomäki, who now works at the city of Lahti, but previously was an urban planner at the city of Espoo, where for over 20 years you've been working with participatory engagement in planning processes, with a focus on making sure that that participation achieves planning outcomes. So we're going to hear something about that today. And Dybkjær, you are the don't tell me, Chief Landscape Architect at the city of Stavanger. Yep. And you're going to talk to us today about how you have incorporated evidence-based design into green space in Stavanger. So, welcome, ladies. I look forward to hearing about the NORDGREEN project.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ryan. And then, good morning to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and then have this opportunity to give a brief introduction about NORDGREEN, Smart Planning for Healthy and Green Nordic Cities. This project, as Ryan said, is financed by Nordforsk and under the Nordic Program on Sustainable Urban Development and Smart Cities. But I will start just by giving some facts to you that can help to anchor the project, to see what the project actually addresses. So, the World Health Organization outlines that urbanization is one of the key challenges for public health in the 21st century. And this is very much discussed in negative terms, talking about infectious outbreaks or unhealthy lifestyles and environmental threats. Stress-related and non-communicable diseases, they are associated with our urban lifestyles. And in fact, they are the cause of approximately 70% of global deaths. And even before COVID, an estimate of 27% of the European adult population suffer from some kind of a health disorder. And these burdens, they are prevalent in urban areas, and they are unequally distributed, with most of vulnerable populations suffering from them. But despite being a locus of like health problems, cities they have also like a significant opportunities to improve like public health. And this argument is like is one of the assumptions that foreground the work that we do in NORDGREEN. So we believe in NORDGREEN that the green public spaces, they are resources for improving well-being, mental and physical health and preventing illness. Because they provide like opportunities for restorative moments for us in cities. And then we also believe that urban planning, urban design and governance can do more for public health. Yeah, and while making our cities more greener and then also like more inclusive. So in NORDGREEN, we develop and implement smart planning and management solutions for well-designed, high-quality green space that promote equity, health, and well-being. And then our ultimate aim is actually like to support local authorities with practical tools and guidelines to help them to make like this, the management of a green space that promote health. We develop these solutions like using an innovative research approach that combines like mainly these different fields that you see: epidemiology, environmental psychology, co-creation, and governance. And then, for example, from the epidemiology, we measure like how accessibility to green spaces actually like helps to improve health. And then from environmental psychology, we get some lessons about design process for the development of like health promoting outdoor spaces. From co-creation, we include like the perspective of the citizens. What do they think about the city? How do they use like public spaces in planning through like participatory processes? And then governance provide then the know-how for municipalities to develop new and transform like existing like green spaces into restorative landscapes. I will finalize just by saying like who we are in NORDGREEN. So we are a Nord corporation. We are like 4 research institutes working on this. Nordregio, the Swedish University of Agricultural Science in Sweden, and then the Norwegian University of Life Science in Norway, and then Aalto University in Finland. And we work together like with 6 city partners. In Finland, we have Espoo and municipalities, and then in Norway, Stavanger, in Sweden, Täby and Vilhelmina, and then also Aarhus in Denmark. So, that's a short introduction about NORDGREEN. Thank you.
Good morning. So my name is Johanna Palomäki. I'm really pleased to be here today representing the city of Espoo. And I'm going to tell you a short story about building knowledge with the citizens of Espoo for comprehensive or general planning, not just planning the green spaces, but planning the whole city on a strategic level. Participatory planning has been a hot topic in planning for about 20 years now. And we have learned how to organize workshops and how to talk to the people, how to facilitate dialogue and how to do surveys. But in my presentation, I will tell about collecting extensive place-based knowledge, but I will focus on what happens after we've done the survey. Espoo is the 2nd largest city in Finland, situated in the Helsinki metropolitan area. And the city is home to Aalto University, and collaboration between the city and the academic community is very close, and we've been fortunate to combine forces in this NORDGREEN project with Nordforsk funding, and we think the results are quite satisfying so far. Early stage participation in planning is key for people to get the feeling of really being heard, and also for participation to actually have the possibility to influence planning outcomes. And the earliest possible stage of participation is before anything has been planned, before even the goals have been set, to gather background knowledge for planning. And then you also have to make sure that the knowledge you build, that you collect, can actually be used by planners in processes so that it can influence the outcomes. In Espoo, we want to assure that residents we want to assure to residents that all knowledge is processed in the same way, whether it's expert knowledge, so-called hard data, or whether it's people's experiences. We want to store and analyze and distribute the data so that it can be used in the whole organization. Also, in planning, place-based knowledge is particularly valuable, such that these traditional post-it notes are not. They're very hard to analyze and very hard to process after that knowledge has been given by people. So in the fall of 2020, the NORDGREEN project funded by Nordforsk enabled us to gather a data set that covers the whole city of Espoo. And the results are published as academic articles in peer-reviewed journals and visualized as maps. What's more, the whole data set and key analysis of it will be distributed in the city's Geographic Information System, or GIS, so that the whole organization can use it. I'll just say a few words about the survey itself. It was done with the Maptionnaire map survey tool, and it was designed together with researchers so we could combine common interests, research questions, and planning issues. In the questionnaire, you just drop a pin on the map and a form pops up with questions related to the place. And also respondents' background information like home location and demographics were surveyed. The results is the largest map survey dataset ever gathered in Finland. Even if out of the 300,000 residents in Espoo, only 6,600 responded, that is far more people involved in planning than we could ever reach in traditional events or workshops. We're especially happy about the number of young people who participated in this survey. It's for them that we are really planning the city. The sheer number of mappings gives a hint of what a rich data set this is. Just a few images for you to get a feel of the data. You can see that it covers the whole city quite evenly and mirror the urban fabric of the city. Most residents want to keep green areas unbuilt. People worked so hard on this survey that we wanted to give them immediate feedback on the results. So we created impressionist images to publish on social media right after the survey. The images were made on our first feel of the data when we had browsed through it. So researchers at Aalto University are busy analyzing the data, so I won't go deep into it. But this is just one idea of how the researchers at Aalto are framing their questions. Depending on the quality of people's experiences of place and how often people visit the place, we will get insight on where the development potential, development priority, maintenance priority, and protection priority in the city are located, and these will be visualized spatially. We can then overlay these maps with our planning program and see whether our planning implementations and maintenance implementations are in the right place or not, and perhaps improve the planning program next year. Planning experts at the city have also been visualizing the data and writing blogs about findings to present them online for everyone. So instead of waiting for years for the results of the survey to come out, we are trickling results all the time back to the people of Espoo. Here are a few other visualization ideas which researchers and planners have come up with together. These have been made by overlaying the My Espoo dataset with other datasets, other GIS datasets that we have at the city. So, how do we make this knowledge available for planners to act upon? The researchers have held 2 workshops where planners were asked to suggest pertinent ways to analyze the data And secondly, to express their views on how the dataset and the analysis should be presented and distributed via the GIS system that we have in place. We have a GIS system called Trimble Locus Cloud, and it's the general land registry of the city. So we're not using any new technology for this. We're using a system that is already in place in an innovative way. This system contains about 600 datasets from land ownership to landscape and geology and infrastructure and natural and cultural environment. And we believe that integrating the MyEspoo dataset into the same GIS system, making it available with the hard data, will make it easier for planners to use as background information in planning. And in Locus Cloud, you can overlay the MyEspoo dataset with other datasets quite easily. After the workshops, one GIS proficient planning expert and the GIS engineers at the city did hard work to make the data presentable in the GIS system. And for example, one observation by planners was that it's very important with datasets like these to give sufficient metadata on the dataset of how it can be used and how it should not be used. The important thing is that the data does not reside in its own silo in a different system, or that it doesn't end up only in academic journals, which will be forgotten maybe, or that planners don't even have access to. I will end with a glimpse on two cases where the MyEspoo data has already been used at the city of Espoo. So we started using the data immediately after we got it. The Viiskorpi master plan is an example of a larger scale plan where the dataset was used to catalyze discussion with residents in a future vision workshop. In the workshop, we informed the residents, of course, of the ongoing plan, but we also were careful in communicating the MyEspoo results for their area. And in this image, you can see a word cloud put on a map of development ideas that had come up in the MyEspoo survey. And then we went into small group work to further develop the area. And then another example, this detailed plan, MyEspoo on a map dataset, was used alongside a more specific survey that was done particularly for that detailed plan. And the results of the two surveys increased the planners' understanding of the area and gave information on locations valued by residents. And by the way, you can Google MyEspoo on a map, and the city has been providing also English translations of the blogs and other stuff that we have been doing. There's a lot of online material on this if you are interested. To sum up, although much still needs to be done for participants' views to transparently influence all planning outcomes, I believe we can safely say that experiential knowledge is now treated in the same way as so-called hard data or expert knowledge. With the MyEspoo dataset in place, planners have said in interviews in this research project that they have been given permission to take people's views seriously in planning. Thank you.
From Finland to Stavanger. We're on the southern west coast of Norway. If you don't know where Stavanger is, it's a municipality with about 145 inhabitants. And I would like to welcome you all to Stavanger in 2025, where we will celebrate our 900 years of city jubilee. At the same time, you can say that Stavanger is only 3 years old, at least the municipality. Before 2020, we were only covering the southern part of what you see between the green lines. And then we grew, and Norway had, they gathered together a lot of municipalities. So now it's a big island municipality. We are about 20% immigrants. I myself is a Dane, and I have a colleague here who's Swedish. And I think this we need to have in mind when we do our outdoor areas, when we design them. This is our master plan, our strategic document for developing the city. On the left, no, on the right, sorry, you see all what is green and blue is outdoor area. The rest is mainly buildings and roads. And we would like this green area to have a good structure. As you see on the left, we have 3 clover. That is our strategy with the vision we build community. We sum it up, connecting it to the UN Sustainability Development Goals. And every time we have a project, we see which goal, or one or more, we can cover and make the city even better. As a sub-plan, we have a green plan. It sounds very easy, but it's very important to have to tell and describe why we are in need of a good green structure. This green structure has, of course, a vision, as you can read. And as you see on the picture, this is one of our main or nice places to be. We have a long coastline, and we would like to make sure that it's nature, of course, landscape and recreational. The green plan has 3 main goals. It's an area of use and recreation for people. People is very important. We need to have biodiversity, and of course contribute to climate adaptation. To make it even more handleable, we have chosen or said that this green structure must be, as you see on the left, coherent, close, varied, and nature-based. As yesterday we talked about what is close. Earlier we said that we need to have at least or maximum 500 meters to a green area. Now it's of course down to 300 meters in this new plan. We have 9 district areas in our municipality, and in 3 of them we have, by using a lot of surveys, mainly on living conditions and on social economics, we have come up and found out that we have 3 areas that is in need of more care. It's Storhaug on the top right, it's Hillevåg down below, and it's Kværnevik on the left side. These 3 areas has their own goals in a theme plan. I will not mention them all, but it's of course how we live together, our living conditions in all of them, and the citizens and social meeting places that is very important. And with these 3 theme plans, we hope to make the living daily life even better for the inhabitants. Stavanger is lucky to be in many of the NORDGREEN work packages, but I will focus on this one, evidence-based green space design as a landscape architect. We have chosen out 3 projects that we are investing in right now. They are quite different. In the middle, we have a secondary school, and this work package method was, I would say, easier to use with this very defined subject or project. In the north, we have our Bypark, the city park, developing to make it even more green. And in the southern part, these 2 are in the Storhaug area. And the school is too small, what is recommended for outdoor areas, so that was also an issue to be covered. And then we could use why is green so good in the schoolyard, not just activity, but also mental being when you have the day off. In the southern part, we have Essotomten. It's part of the Hillevåg area investment. And I have some pictures. When we start a project, and that's mainly the method of work package 1, evidence-based, it's analyzing and getting to know the site to find out its history and its potential as well. And by both taking a lot of pictures and analyzing, we have our landscape architect view, and then combining it with these more healthy people thinking views, I think we have a better cover of developing this project. It might look very nice, it is, on a sunny day. It's also quite rough. It has a lot of history, and it's both usable. There's a boat harbor, as you see, but it's also not that easy to come into. And you might say that it's, how difficult can it be changing from this picture in the corner? It's just a wasteland, it's abandoned. Put in some trees and green, then it would be nice. But for us, it's important to use the method to find the history and in a concept try to describe how we would like to give this area its own identity, telling the story and making it into the new. We have a sketch that we hope we will be able to build in the next 2, 5, 10 years. It's a big area and it will take time to make. Part of this is we have a lot of surveys that is helping us to describe what the inhabitants would like to have in the area. It's also important for us to make the inhabitants aware that they are living nearby the sea. Actually, they don't know, and that's a little bit surprising, but there's a railroad between, so maybe that's a barrier. I would like to hope that maybe not in 25 when you come you will see this, but we aim to both make sure that the boat will stay, make some more livable park-ish green areas for the inhabitants to be in and enjoy this area all year round. It's not just for the summertime, but as well when you go a stroll or a walk in the winter, what do you go down to see? You have the fjord, and you can meet people. And that also very important for a good health, that you see people and are together somewhere. Hopefully mostly outside, but also inside. That was